Teed up indoors on Battleground. We've got football in focus for a Thursday night. We've got Ryan Debow with us in Northwest Guilford. Ryan's here. Met your dad back in the summer. He's over at Grimsley when they had the signing. He was Alex Taylor or Terrell Anderson that day. Talked to your dad a little bit that day. And somehow how good a job you've been doing, how good a job your sister's done, and she was in soccer, right?
Yes, sir.
What are some things you learned from your sister about sports? You know, as far as sports goes, what could you learn from her? And what did she kind of teach you about? Because she's an athlete. What some things you learned from her?
Well, actually, growing up, she was mostly faster than me, so she kind of taught me how to get my speed up a little bit, so kind of learned that from her.
Some things from her rubbed off on you. What about the game the past couple of weeks? Because you've been doing real well on defense especially, but as far as offense versus defense, which side of the ball you like better?
I'm going to have to say defense, just hitting people. I like that way more.
Against Northern last week, the Viking defense looked really, really good. What made that defense click last week?
Coach Rusevich, I mean, he's a really good play caller. We just listen to what he says and tell us to do. We just do our jobs.
What's he done to make this a better team this year, Coach Rusevich? He comes in, first-year coach. He was a college coach, a little bit of high school coach at Northern Guilford back in there. What's he done to make this a better Northwest team?
Well, mostly last year, we mostly did like cover 3, man, and we didn't really game plan for the opponent. We just stuck with those concepts. So Coach Rusevich, he more focuses on the opponent, and yeah.
What about you as far as your position? Because you're kind of a hybrid player in some ways. You're almost like a linebacker and defensive back both. What position are you actually playing, and what do you like about that position?
I play strong safety. I like it that I get to roll up, and I can play deep sometimes. And sometimes I can blitz off the edge. It's pretty fun.
Now, you were our player of the week 2 weeks ago. You might have had even a better game against Northern Guilford. Talk about some of the plays you had. You had like an interception, I think, maybe a couple of key stops and big fourth quarter action. What are some of the key plays you had in that game you remember, looking back to your night that night?
The Page game?
Going back to the Northern game.
The Northern game?
Yeah.
Oh, the big sack on 3rd down. That was pretty big. And it's mostly the one that I remember the most, probably.
How about the Page game? You mentioned that there were some big plays in the Page game.
Big plays. Punt. They were punting the ball, and they faked it. And the dude, he almost caught the pass, but I batted it down.
That's your pass deflection then, yeah.
Yes, sir.
What about your guys back there with you in that backfield, defensive back? Who's back there with you these days? I know you got the Jackson kid.
Yes, sir.
You got the Dara kid, I think. Who else is back there with you guys?
We also have Prince Brown.
Oh, man,
DB.
number 8, Prince Brown, downtown Brown. Pretty tough player there, too.
And also Elijah Barnes.
Yeah, Elijah Barnes had a good game against Northern, I think, last week also.
Yes, sir, he did.
Some good talent back there. You think about Prince Brown. What's that kid like as an overall player? Because he's also a receiver on offense. What's his makeup like as far as a player goes? You think about him?
I mean, he's a hard worker. He definitely gets after it. I know he was a little bummed at first that he had to move to defense, but I mean, we just encouraged him, help him stay focused.
Yeah, and he's coming back over playing some more offense now, I think, too, as time goes on, getting more involved.
Yes,
How about yourself when you get involved in the offense? You seem like you are a very nice guy, good guy, kind of soft-spoken. You get in that backfield, though, it's like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde breaking loose back there. You get in that backfield, you run extremely hard. Talk about that running back's fun back there.
I just like making contact with people.
You love to hit?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and you do it well. And basketball, well, you surprised us in basketball last year, too, because you kind of played the point guard spot last year a lot for Northwest. And
yes,
you took over some games last year. Had a very successful. You going to do that again this year, basketball?
I'm going to definitely try.
Yeah, you should definitely be on top of that basketball again. I'm not sure who else is going to be around for point guard, but that could be your position. How tall are you these days? About 6'1"?
Yeah, about 6 foot, 6'1".
Not bad at all. Any college offers yet? Talking to any colleges? Thinking about any colleges?
I haven't got any offers yet, but I've been talking to Campbell, Liberty, and UNC Charlotte mostly.
Not bad at all. I tell you, Liberty is not a crazy football. It's just kind of a crazy situation. They've been playing Tuesday night games for the past 3 years. They're playing every Tuesday night in that conference. It was just crazy.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah, I was typing them in the other night when I was on my computer and trying to how they've been doing, and I found it like 6-0, which is great. New coach Chadwick from Coastal Carolina came in doing a fine job there, but they played like 3 straight Tuesday night games, like a man, and they played the Thursday before the first Tuesday game, kind of staggered a little bit, so they don't play Saturday and try and play on Tuesday. It'd be extremely tough, but I like what they're doing. You been in any games up there yet?
Yes, I actually went to they played New Mexico State. It was a pretty good game. Their offense is really good. They get after it.
Yeah, and they've got a nice stadium there too. That Williams Stadium, I think, is a very nice stadium. I've been up there. I haven't been to a game, but I've been there like in December when nobody's on campus. Students go home, and I come up there in December, walk around the campus, and you got the whole place to yourself, and you can go any place you want to. I love that part of it. But I remember I was there as a player years ago, many, we played down on, we used to practice a place called Treasure Island down off Rivermont Avenue.
Okay.
You probably heard people who've been around Liberty anytime they remember Treasure Island, because it actually got flooded years later. It got flooded, the whole island got washed away, and they said they could see the helmets and the pads all floating down the river, all washed down. Boy, you think about the players of Malik Willis, who's with the Tennessee Titans. He came through there and did very well.
Yep.
They've had some talent. You probably not heard this guy, Eric Green, tight end with the Steelers many years ago, came to Liberty a long, long time ago. Good player
I
there.
think I've heard of him before.
Yeah, his name's been tossed around up there. They probably use his name in recruiting some. So Liberty, Campbell, and
UNC Charlotte.
UNC Charlotte. Not bad at Charlotte, because they got a kid from Southeast, a big lineman's down there right now. I can't remember his last name. And they also had the kid who, Larry Ogunjobi with the Steelers, came out of Ragsdale, played at Charlotte back in the day. So they've had some very good talent come through there. Toughest overall player at Northwest. Who was the tough? You're one of the tougher ones, because for your size, who's the toughest guy over there right now? Who's the guy we should look out for all the time?
I would definitely say Thomas Orrell or Andrew Dover. They both can hit.
They were both busy last week too. I think one of them had like 18 tackles. They had 17. They were tearing it up. And Thomas has been here with us. Shout out to Thomas Orrell. Andrew Dover, I think he's 29, and Thomas is 19. Always remember those numbers.
Yes, sir.
And you're wearing number 7, 8, 9, 10? Number 1. Man, you know, Malik's got 3, you got 1. Gosh, I got to keep out of him. I know that number. Number 1. Because Malik at 3, you at 1, and Tanner wears 12?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And Trent wears 2.
Yes, sir.
Got to memorize those numbers. Got to keep those numbers all the time. Because if you're playing against the other team, you especially remember the numbers. If you're playing against Page, when you're playing defense, you remember that, what was his number again? That was Andrew's number. He might have worn a number. I think he wore 5, maybe.
5, yeah.
He wore 5, yeah, because that was Andrews, Maurice Andrews of Page. Because I can think right now we got to tackle this guy every time. You guys did a good I told Coach Rusevich, you guys did a very good job of shutting that guy down that night.
Yeah, he was pretty big. I can't lie. He's physical back.
Yeah, he was tough, but they had a little guy in there, a little kid, number 2 for them. The Jones, Elijah Jones, I think he was. He was scatting around.
Yeah,
had a little number 1 guy, Poindexter. He was flying around. He was flying out there for you. But I tell you what, you got to know their numbers when they're coming. You got to focus on those guys. Ragsdale again tomorrow night coming up. What's the focus on Ragsdale? What do they have that makes you guys concerned you a little bit, maybe?
Well, most of the year people are trying to run the ball on us, but Ragsdale, they're trying to run the ball on us, and we're just going to show them that we can stop it.
Got to stop the run. And their quarterback, I'm not sure who it is this year. They've had some changes. Hackstall was there last year, went over to Andrews. They got a new guy at Ragsdale this year. They got that kid, Brayley Lewis, I think his name is, who took over for them. He's been doing much better recently. So you got to be aware of a team like Ragsdale. That's the team, if you don't take them serious, that's the team to sneak in and just mess up your whole season, just ruin everything.
Yes, sir.
You guys, like Coach Rusevich said, you guys got to win out now. Got to win the rest of the games. All right, with us, Ryan Debow from Northwest wears number 1 in his jersey, and he really can hit and hit hard. Who wins on Saturday, State or Duke? Big game there.
Since he said Duke, I'm going to go with State.
Yep, good call there. Don't do exactly like the other guy did. You're going again with State. He said Duke. I'm going with State every week, no matter who they're playing. Carolina and Miami, who do you like in that one?
I got Carolina. I'm a UNC fan.
UNC fan.
Yes, sir.
Got a favorite player down there? I know it is. Travis Shaw.
Oh, Travis Shaw? Yeah.
Yeah, I love the local Grimsley guy.
Yes, sir.
Big Cheesy, I think it is. Man, you've faced him a few times back in the day. Probably some back in your younger day when you were at Northwest facing Grimsley. Carolina Panthers. How many wins this season for the Panthers? So far, 0.
Yeah, I'm going to go with like 5.
5.
5.
Will they win by Thanksgiving Day is a big question. By Thanksgiving, are you watching the Panthers? They won a game by then?
I'm going to say hopefully, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Final question comes in here. Some playoff memories from last year.
Playoff
Last
memories.
year's playoff.
Definitely the Watauga game. We came back. We were down like 2 scores. Tanner was hurt, but Bristol really stepped up, and he won us the game with like 30 seconds left.
And you beat a top team, too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was they were the higher seeded team because you played at their place up near Boone. And they're still unbeaten this year. They're 7-0 right now. You may see those guys again.
Yeah.
If you could see Grims again, what would you do different?
I would definitely say we try to tackle better. We kind of missing tackles. I feel like we were kind of nervous since it was a more top team in the state. But this time, if we see them in playoffs, I feel like we'll be ready for them.
Be ready. They're not giving you no respect, so you got to look at it like that too. We get no respect, or we got to go show these people what it's all about.
Yes, sir.
Ryan Debow, number 1. What number in basketball do you wear? Same number?
Either 1 or 3.
1 or 3. Gotcha. Good to see you. Tell your dad he's doing a great job. He's raised up a fine daughter and a fine son. Proud of him and the family. Teeing up indoors on Battleground, Football in Focus. Ryan Debow and Trent Cloud. We've got up next.